How do you plant a church? That's an intimidating question. Now, most pastors won't plant a church. Nevertheless, studying and being aware of the foundations of church planting, its importance and practicality in the kingdom, will inevitably affect how you organize and structure your own church. Let's look at the text, Planting Missional Churches. The book is divided into 5 sections with 30 chapters. Rather than looking at all 30 chapters, we will be covering the broad strokes of each of the sections. The foundations of church planting. One of the hardest things to do is confronting opposition from the church about church planting and why your church should plant another church. This section focuses on exploring missional theology, how it shapes and molds the church, and why if the church isn't missional minded, it could potentially lead to the death of your church. These chapters also explore both Old and New Testament ideas of missions and church planting, as well as what are the expectations and requirements of the church planter. Models of church planting. This chapter focuses on exploring the different leadership models of effective church planting called the Apostolic Harvest Church Planter, the Founding Pastor, and the Entrepreneurial Planner. It also focuses on the pros and cons of each of these models, and then asks the question, what's the biblical basis and modern-day practicality of these models? This section also explores the benefits of creating and maintaining a philosophy of simple church. This section also raises the issues surrounding ethnicity, culture, and community around and within the church, and what problems you may encounter when planting a church. Systems for church planting. These chapters introduce ecclesiology, or the study of church. In particular, the role and purpose of leaders, volunteers, employment, the mission and theology of the church. This section dedicates its time to exploring the planter-pastor's relationship issues such as problem solving, time management, fatigue, and accountability. In addition to ecclesiology and pastoral responsibilities, these chapters also deal with the practical side of church planting. Focus groups, financial dependence or independence, administration responsibilities, bivocational ministers, the location, proper procedures for a successful launch day, facility maintenance, and growth. Church documents, both theological and legal, as well as the relationship aspects such as connections, discipleships, and how to protect the church and its vision. Ministry areas for church planting. It goes without saying that how the church sees itself and how visitors see the church are usually radically different. This is where the importance of a team becomes clear. In fact, the team may be more important than a church plant itself. Getting the right people for the right jobs with the right hearts for the right area of ministry. What are the essential areas of ministry? Small groups, worship, preaching, spiritual formation, and children. By establishing ministry teams, guest services, volunteers, assimilation groups, and finance coordination, these all fall under the macro management of the church planter. By creating effective teams, the church plant is able to reach more ground without overexhausting its resources or leading anyone to burnout. This section concludes by focusing on the role and purpose of worship, preaching, discipleship, and children's ministry, while also exploring some legal issues that you may run into. Multiplication and movements. The final section focuses on how and why churches should be planting churches. It also explores the practical issues and questions of how to be a parent church. What is the future of theological education? What do these things have to do with church planting? How do we build up leaders who desire the multiplication of churches? And how do we train them to be church planters? What is the future of our local church, denominational, and worldwide spiritual leadership? After reading and studying this book, you should be able to do the following. Learn basic systems of church planting models, analyze and assess church planting leadership models, recognize and anticipate church planting issues and solutions. This book was selected by the IPHC and NHM Schools of Ministry for the following reasons. In addition to the DCPI training and in accordance with the IPHC church revitalization programs, this text works as supplemental to conference and denominational researches and workshops that are made available to those seeking to obtain grants and support for churches planting churches. In addition to the Planting Missional Churches workbook, you have an additional assignment. Write at least a one-page essay in Times New Roman, double-spaced, at 12-point font on the following topic. Which leadership model do you think is the most biblical and practical in today's world? This has been course MCP 3.04 in the Ordination Level 2 Credentialing Series. Upon watching this course, please read the assigned text, complete the workbook, and type your essay. Please print the essay and place it in the back of your workbook. The next course will be over the text, Creating Efficiency for Effective Ministry, Church Administration. Blessings, and study to show yourself approved.